If life has felt heavy lately, or if it feels like your spark faded somewhere along the way, you're definitely not alone. But here's the truth that no one tells you. You're not actually broken. You just forgot how to live like a kid. And the moment you relearn that, everything starts to feel lighter, everything starts to feel better. You know, kids live in a way that adults spend their whole lives trying to return to. It's so funny because when we're young and when we're developing and those kinds of things, all we want to be is older. We want to be old enough to drive a car, to be responsible, to have a phone, to do all these different things. And the second that we reach those ages, all of a sudden we just want to become kids again. You know, we meditate, journal, chase self-help videos, but kids naturally live the life we're trying to recreate, don't they? So in this video, I want to give you 15 ways to live your life like a kid again and get that spark back. Let's get right into it. Number 1, stop overcomplicating everything. You know, adults need a plan, a backup plan, and a reason. Kids, they just need interest, right? They move first, think second. Adults think first and never move. I mean, how often does that happen to us where we literally just get stuck overthinking or overcomplicating a simple situation where if we just go forward, if we just start moving and doing something, we'll actually get to a certain resolution or decision quicker. Your life becomes lighter the moment you simply simplify your decisions. If something pulls you, you just start doing it. Simple as that. Number 2, you follow your curiosity, not your fear. You know, kids aren't driven by fear. They explore whatever looks fun or interesting, and that curiosity is what creates momentum. Fear kills it. If you want your spark back, go back to where your curiosity began. Even if it makes no sense at all. Like if you were interested or, curious by certain things in life, whether it be like, the ocean or space or whatever the case may be, go back to those things, follow your curiosity and dive deeper into it. You know, we're so afraid of looking a certain way or seeming a bit weird for being curious or even liking something when that is the very thing that makes us who we are in the first place. And so again, if you want your spark back, go back to those curiosity points. Number 3, play more. And no, I don't mean video games necessarily. I mean, even if maybe that was a part of your childhood, but what I mean is experiment, build, explore, do things without needing them to count necessarily. You know, play is not childish. Play is what keeps your soul awake. You know, when you were a kid and it would rain and there'd be muddy puddles outside, you'd feel this instinct to go and just jump in them, right? And have some fun. As adults, when was the last time we ever jumped in a muddy puddle? Or jumped into a pile of leaves in fall? Or simply just got an ice cream cone and just looked out on the street and watched the different colored cars go by and number them, literally, right? It's those playful attitudes in life that allow us to return back to that joy and that simplicity of life that we had as kids. So this is your sign to just play more. And again, not necessarily video games, but honestly, just become more playful in life. Now, there's always going to be moments where it's important to be serious. You know, maybe at your job, you've got meetings or certain circumstances where you obviously do need to be serious and locked in, as they say. But it is super important that you don't forget those childish, playful roots. Number 4, let yourself be bad at things again. You know, kids don't care if they suck. They don't avoid things just because they're not the best. You know, whether it's a sport or a certain activity in general, they don't avoid it just because they're not super great at it. However, as adults, we're absolutely terrified of looking stupid, and even as teenagers as well. And that fear is what kills the growth. Because when we're going out there and trying things that we may not necessarily be good at, that's allowing us to develop new skills and find out new things about ourselves. But if we're just too afraid to try because we don't want to fail or look bad, then we're honestly really hindering our progress and our growth, right? And so if you want to feel alive again, start something you know you'll be bad at and do it anyway. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but just give it a try. I promise you'll enjoy what comes. Number 5, make small things feel big again. Kids find magic in ordinary things. You know, a walk, a bug, the sound of rain. We've kind of been desensitized, right? Everything is just so stimulating. You go on the internet, everything that you look at is just overstimulating. And honestly, it's gotten to the point where everything has to be life-changing or we just don't care. So let this be a sign to slow down, notice things, and let the small stuff matter again in life. Like the small little details, right? Maybe you're walking wherever, to work or to a certain spot that you like to go to, and you see a bird or you notice a cool bird, just stop and look at it for a second. Enjoy it. That's one of the pleasures of life that we've honestly lost touch with, is just enjoying those small things again. Number 6, ask questions again. Kids question everything. That's why they learn so fast. When you were a kid and your parents would be like, oh, you need to go clean your room, or you need to do the dishes or whatever, they'd ask you to do a specific chore, and you just ask them, why? And then they'd be like, oh, well, it's important because you need to keep your room clean, right? You need to be organized. Why? And you would just keep asking why over and over again and just like annoying them so bad. I don't know if anyone ever did that. I know that I did that for sure when I was a kid. But it's asking those simple questions, like why, how, what, when, where. Those kinds of questions allow us to dive deeper and actually learn about the things around us. And so, adults, we stop asking questions because we assume we know how the world works. And again, we're also afraid of asking a question that might seem a little bit stupid or dumb or irrelevant. But the moment you stop learning, part of you stops living. So get curious, ask more, and explore more. 7, don't judge yourself so harshly. Kids don't wake up thinking, am I productive enough? Do people like me? Did I disappoint anyone today? Adults live in self-judgment all the time, but kids live in acceptance. To feel lighter, talk to yourself the way a kid would talk to you, with honesty but kindness. Stop overanalyzing and just being so hard on yourself. Now, of course, it's important to reflect. If you've done something stupid or made a mistake, yeah, it's important to learn from your mistakes and move forward. But that isn't to say oh, you need to be super harsh to yourself or honestly beat yourself up when you do make those mistakes, because it's a part of life. So embrace it. 8, and this is a doozy. Stop trying to look cool. Kids don't think about how they look doing something. They just do the thing. Adults, we perform our lives instead of living them, right? We're always putting on a show. If you want freedom, do things without needing to look impressive or put together. Let yourself be absorbed in the moment again. Honestly, just be authentic. Because if someone's going to judge you or someone's not going to like you because you're acting a certain way, or you're honestly just being yourself. Again, don't be like a jerk. If you being yourself is you just being a jerk or whatever, okay, obviously you don't want to do that, right? Or just being retarded in general. But the key here is literally just being who you were made to be. Stop trying to, if you find a joke funny that someone makes and you don't want to laugh because you don't want to seem weird or something, allow yourself to laugh. Allow yourself to go back to that moment, right? Instead of always just trying to put on a show and be literally someone that you're not. Number 9, celebrate tiny wins. Kids celebrate literally everything. They build something small and act like they won the freaking Olympics, right? Adults achieve huge things and go, yeah, whatever. Or wow, oh, that's great. And then they just move right on to the next thing. And so start honoring your progress again, especially small stuff, small wins. It literally rewires your brain for joy. And you start being programmed to honestly really enjoy the small progresses or just the small tweaks that you make in your life. Oh, maybe you went to the gym today, you haven't been in a week. Celebrate that. Literally treat yourself. It's those kinds of things that allow us to generate healthy dopamine and actually generate more success and more tiny wins for ourselves. It's a positive feedback loop for sure. Number 10, live in the moment. Kids live where life actually happens, right here, right now. Adults live in their heads, replaying yesterday, anticipating tomorrow, literally always overthinking. And we've already talked about this a little bit throughout this video, but this is actually a huge killer of joy and of peace. When we're so focused on the mistakes we made yesterday, or we're anxious about what could happen literally in the next hour or tomorrow or a week from now or a month from now, you get the point. We're actually sacrificing a lot of joy and a lot of happiness that we could be enjoying right now if we simply just stopped being in our heads. If we stopped focusing on these random crap thoughts that just appear there. This is a huge doozy. This is where life actually really begins to become fun and where you actually start to feel like a kid again, when you're living in the moment. Because when you're living in the moment and you're not overthinking things, you're going to naturally go towards the things that made you curious, kind of like how we talked about before. You're going to make the jokes that you normally would make. You're going to stop trying to be cool. You're not going to be afraid to fail. And that is actual true bliss in life. 11, allow yourself to dream again. Kids, they dream freely. They imagine without limits. They don't care if it's realistic, right? Like, you know, you're a kid and you're imagining yourself being like a superhero, right? Or, you know, you're imagining yourself being an astronaut and going and traveling through space and doing all these cool things. But sort of somewhere along the way, maybe when we were teenagers, maybe it happened when we were adults as well, we sort of traded vision or dreams for just like practicality, right? But your imagination is fuel. If you want to feel alive again, let yourself want something again. Let yourself dream. What was the thing that you always wanted to be when you grew up? What was that special place you always wanted to visit, or that activity you always wanted to go? Maybe it was that you wanted to go to a trampoline park and you never went. Go to a trampoline park, man. Like, enjoy yourself. Dreams are what make life so special. When we have a vision or a goal, it allows us to actually have a target to reach. You know, I like to think of it like when we don't have a goal, we're kind of like a ship in a harbor where we just start the engines and let it go. And what's going to happen? It just ends up sinking because it doesn't have a roadmap. But when we have dreams or big goals that almost seem preposterous, we're at least giving ourselves a destination. And when we have a destination, we're way more likely to actually make it there and not just sink to the bottom of the ocean. 12, move your body. And no, I don't just mean go to the gym and lift some weights, although that's super good for you and awesome. You know, but kids, they run, they jump, they explore, they touch grass. Adults, they just sit around, think, scroll, right? Whereas movement actually creates energy. It creates motivation, and motivation creates life. And more upon more, we actually start to change everything that's happening around us. We start to change the way we actually feel inside about ourselves as well. We were made to move. We weren't made to just sit around. That's why we have all these muscles. That's why we have 12 bones or something like that. I could actually be misquoting that. Maybe it's 217. Can't remember. But that's the reason why we have our bodies, is to move, is to actually do things with them. So it's time to go do that. 13, laugh more. And I'm not talking about like a polite adult laugh, like it's like the stupid, uncontrollable, you're crying, laughing at like the dumbest things. Kids laugh 10 times more than adults do. And that's not an accident. It's a symptom of presence. Let yourself laugh at dumb jokes again. Laugh at yourself. Laugh for no reason. It's so cliche and almost a little bit cringe to say, but laughter genuinely is the best medicine. So start laughing more, man. 14, be present with people. So we've talked about this quite a bit actually throughout this video, but kids don't sit on a phone or on a device when they're with someone. They're fully engaged, all in with the moment, right? So the idea is just like put your freaking phone down, put the distractions away, and literally just interact with the people that are around you. You'd actually start to find that people around you are pretty interesting and they have some cool stories to tell. Everybody's got an origin story, or everybody's got lore, you know, to their life. They've got like interesting insights that they can give you so that you can actually apply them in your own life as well. That's why childhood friendships, you know, felt so magical as well, because we weren't so consumed by these devices that we have or these distractions. So put your phone down more, look people in the eye, show up fully, and watch as your life turns to one of more deeper connections. 15, let things go faster. You know, kids don't sit around holding grudges for months. They cry, get upset, wipe their tears, and then they go back outside and they play, right? I feel like as adults, we just grip onto everything. We replay mistakes and arguments endlessly. Living like a kid means letting things go quicker. You know, someone took your toy away, someone, you know, gave you an owie, some doo-doo head was mean to you. Just laugh it off, let it go. Cry your tears if you have to as well, because sometimes that's important as well. But just let things go faster. You know, I feel like all the time someone will say one rude thing to us or rub us slightly the wrong way, and they won't even mean to. And we'll literally be consumed by that for the longest time. We'll be overthinking that for like sometimes weeks even, or months. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Let that go and just start living your life again. Let things go. Because at that point, when you just let things go, all that weight that you've been carrying around just like leaves your shoulders. And that's when you're able to actually feel like a kid again. It's when you're actually able to feel like yourself again. So in conclusion, you know, living like a kid doesn't mean you're childish, right? It means you're returning to the parts of life that made it feel meaningful. The parts of your life that made you, you know, your dreams, your interests, right? Your presence, you know, your wonder. The fact that you were moving around, that, you know, you had like those genuine connections and friendships as a kid as well. Your spark didn't disappear. It's just buried under adulthood. It's buried under rent. It's buried under all these different responsibilities and crappy things you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But if you start to peel back those layers, you'll find it again. I promise you will. And when you do, it's gonna feel so magical. I really hope that the things in this video helped you today. I really hope it gave you some clarity as to how you can start to live your life like a kid again. Now, I actually wrote a book. It's gonna be the top link in the description. It gives you sort of my testimonial and my experience with a cool philosophy that allowed me to sort of feel like a kid again, where I was able to go and chase a big goal of mine that honestly would be kind of like a dream to me as a kid. Going and becoming, something big in a company and actually making a difference. And so if you want to go take a look at that framework and know how you can go and start achieving your big goals and your dreams that you had as a kid again, feel free to go take a look at it. It's $6 and I promise you, you won't regret it. But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you have an amazing day and we'll catch you in the next one.